Here. I'm here to start a new reading vlog. I'm going to focus this week on reading contemporary books from authors that I have read before. I have 4 on my TBR that I'm going to try to tackle. I don't know if I'm going to get through all 4 of them, but they are all contemporaries. They're all not that long. So the first one is How to Love by Katie Cotugno, which is the first book I'm going to read. This book is one of her earlier books, I think, and it does tackle teen pregnancy, which is just a topic that I'm intrigued by. So I'm going to read this one. And then I also have Twinkle with Love by Sanaya Menon on my TBR. Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Abertali. And Moment of Truth by Casey West. So I don't know what order I'm going to read them, but I decided to pick up this one because I've had it for quite a bit of time. And I did like her other book that I read. I liked You Say It First. I didn't love Top 10, but I'm hopeful that this one's actually a lot of people's favorite. So I'm going to start this read. I am also listening to Cress by Marissa Meyer, which is the audiobook that I'm in the middle of listening to. But yeah, I'm going to go. Sorry, the lighting keeps changing because I'm like outside. But yeah, I'm going to go start this, and I will let you guys know when I'm about 50 pages in my thoughts. Normally I really like her writing style and her characters, so I'm going to go tackle this, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Lori here. Another setting change. I've decided to actually use this chair that I have because I always sit in my bed when I read and then I get super tired, so I'm trying to avoid that. But I did want up reading 50 pages of How to Love. That's also my quote that all my students made for me last year when we did Wonka, so I figured I would try to feature it more. But I got up to 50 pages, and basically what this book is it's told from before and after. Basically follows this girl named Rena, and she got pregnant when she was 16 by a young man named Sawyer. So you're following her, I think, the lead up to her getting pregnant. So you see the development of their relationship, and then you see the aftermath after Sawyer left, and she has a young girl named Hannah who's 2. So I actually kind of like that concept because you see the development of their relationship, and then you also kind of see the after effects of her as a young mom, which I really do like. Her books are always very sex positive, and I think it tackles that in like a very, very interesting way. This book is also set in Florida, and I am watching a lot of family vloggers that take place in Florida. But I am really, really liking it. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm also in the middle of watching Alexa and Katie, the last season. I'm about to start episode 3. So I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break because I started this, and I think I'm going to read 2 stories in the Hungry Hearts anthology because I am so close to being close to the end of this. I'm going to read the one, Hearts a la carte by Karuza Rizai, and then I'm going to read Bloom by Phoebe North. The last one was very, very weird. I liked it. There was like an interesting concept, so I'm going to read these 2, and then when I'm done, I'll come in and let you guys know my thoughts, and then I'm going to go back to reading How to Love. My ideal is to read this before the end of the month and move on to another sort of anthology next month. If I read it a little bit quicker, then I'll probably move on to another anthology quicker. My other anthology is going to be a nonfiction one, so. Alright, well, I'm going to go start that, and when I'm done with that, I'll update you guys. Bye. Lori here, just checking back in. I did want to finishing my 2 stories from Hungry Hearts. I actually think I wound up liking them both. I think I liked the first one a little bit more. It was superhero themed, and it reminded me a little bit of Super Adjacent, which I thoroughly liked that book from Crystal Cesare. I read that a little while ago. And the second book was more of like a slice of life story, but I really did enjoy it. I have about 3 left, but I'm going to go watch Alexa and Katie. It's only 8 episodes. I think I'm on the 4th episode, so I'm probably going to be finishing that tonight, but I will update you guys tomorrow in the morning and let you guys know what I thought about that. And I will let you guys know if I make any reading progress on my Katie Cotugno book. I don't think I will, but I might before I check back in tomorrow morning. But I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye. Right here, just checking back in. It's almost 5 o'clock. Well, it's actually just past 5 o'clock. I wound up working all day. I didn't have a lot of time to like do much. Like I read a little bit and I listened to a few podcasts, but nothing like nothing chaotic. But in my downtime, I did want to getting up to page 167 in How to Love by Katie Cotugno. But yeah, I'm really liking this. It definitely is interesting, like the then, before, and then concept, like before and after. There's also one element in this book that I thought was really interesting. It kind of reminds me a little bit of I think it's What About Tomorrow by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And I read that like a while ago, but it has a one of the elements in that book is a little bit similar. But I do like how it's tackling teen pregnancy, especially in the aftermath with Rena. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I guess I'll be curious to see how when the before part ends. I do like I'm enjoying it. It's definitely a very, very fast paced read. It's also talks a lot about like there's some elements of dealing with grief that I am really enjoying as well. So I'm gonna go read, and I will update you guys when I get up to like 200 and let you guys know my thoughts. It's a very, very quick read. It's also, if my face looks a little bit red, it's because I was sitting outside and it's really, really hot. But yeah, so I'm gonna go read, and I'll update you guys when I can. Bye. Hi guys, Laura here, just checking back in. It is about 8 o'clock. I think I'm going to stop reading for the night. I always struggle on Mondays because I always have to wake up so much, not even really earlier, but just a lot of focusing on a computer screen, so I always get a lot of headaches on Mondays. But I did wind up reading a little bit of How to Love. I'm on page now 253. Still really enjoying it. This is a book that sometimes makes me want to like shake the characters and be like, this is not a decision you should be making, and it's really hard in the before part of this book because you know what happens. You know she gets pregnant because that's what the after part of the book is, but I'm not loving Sawyer as a character both in the past and in the present. So like I think his character is a little bit challenging, but I also know he has like a lot of issues. I also think that the aftermath of the grief aspect is really interesting for both characters. But yeah, I am liking it. I'm enjoying it. So I'm gonna pick this up tomorrow, and I hope to make a lot more progress on this book tomorrow. It's about like 400 pages, so. But yeah, I'll check in with you guys tomorrow before I go to work. Bye guys. We're here and back. It's 11:12. Last night I actually did watch one episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I also watched The Help, which I don't know if that was newly added to Netflix, but it's been a movie that's been on my watch list for a while because it has so many of my favorite actors. It has Octavia Spencer. It has Bryce Dallas Howard. It has Jessica Chastain. It just has a lot of actors that I really, really enjoy, but it basically is another movie that looks at the understory of African Americans throughout history. This one focused on the maid help in the South. I have about 30 minutes left, but really, really enjoying it. And I was so happy that either it hasn't been on Netflix very, very long, or I have not been paying attention, which could be both. But I also did make a little bit more reading progress on How to Love by Katie Cotugno. I'm on page 300. I will admit, I'm growing a little bit more invested in their relationship in the present. In the past, I want to like go into this book and like shake these characters because it's so unhealthy. Like it just is. But I think that that's kind of the point. There also is a lot of family drama that's happening both in the past and in the present. And it's just dealing with the aftermath of teen pregnancy, like what happens when this happens. And I think that Sawyer was in such a bad place that it's taking a while for Rena to get there, and I think that that's perfectly okay. But I am growing to like their relationship. I don't love it yet, but I am growing to like it. It's definitely, I like this book a little bit more than top 10, but not as much as you say at first. But I do like how teen pregnancy is explored. So I'm going to go read a little bit more. I have a couple more minutes left before I go to work, so I'm going to go do that. And yeah, that's my plan of attack, and I will update you guys when I'm on page 350 in this book, because then I'm going to be practically done. But talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. Just checking back in. I wanted to say that I did want to finishing How to Love by Katie Cotugno. I'm going to do a wrap-up. I'm going to do like a little mini review when I'm actually done with this book because I'm so close. But I have one more story left in Hungry Hearts, which was a bunch of 13 stories set on this Hungry Row stretch of things. So they all focused on restaurants. So I have one more story left, and it's a story that I've really, really wanted to read. It's not that long, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically finish the story and then come in and wrap up the 2 books that I wound up finishing today, and then let you guys know my thoughts, and then tell you guys what I'm reading next. So talk to you guys in like 20 minutes. Bye guys. Right here, just checking back in. I do want to wrap up the 2 books that I wound up finishing. I wound up finishing How to Love by Katie Cotugno. I have read 2 previous Katie Cotugno books, and I think this one kind of falls in the middle. I didn't love Top 10, and I really did like What to Say Next, which is her most recent book. It actually just came out today when I'm filming this. This is on June 18th, so you're going to see this later, but it's definitely out by now. Wound up really, really liking that book. I thought that was like a fun book that had like political elements, like a background, and I thought it was like a really nice love to hate romance. This one, I think it was fun. I liked the characters. It definitely is more of a blast to the past romance. It does deal with teen pregnancy. I didn't like the relationship in the before, and I think that's kind of the point because Sawyer was dealing with a lot, and so was Rena. But I thought the after was interesting. So I'm giving this book like 3.75 stars. I have a bunch more Katie Cotugno books on my summer TBR, but I'm happy that I got around to this. I thought that it depicted teenage pregnancy in not a glamorizing way, but I think it was like effective. So wound up liking this one, gave it 3.75 stars. And then I wound up finishing my anthology for the month, which is Hungry Hearts, edited by Lisa Chapman and Caroline Teen Richmond. I really wound up liking this anthology. So basically what this anthology is, I talked about it a little bit, is you have a bunch of stores on this thing called Hungry Row, and this is like a map of them. So every story takes place in one of these shops with these characters, and the setting is the same for all of them because they're all set in this little town. And then the characters can kind of like float back and forth. You know, in every anthology, there's strengths and their weaknesses. I think that some of my favorite stories that I read in this one, I really liked Rain by Sagu Mandana. I really liked that one. I thought Kings and Queens was really, really good by Lisa Chapman. The Great Ish Adventure by Sanaya Menon I really liked. Sugar and Spite, it was interesting. I don't think I liked it as much as I wanted it to. It was written like in like a you perspective, and I sometimes struggle with that. Moments to Return is the one I didn't love, but that was by LDL Said. The Slender one I did like by Caroline Teen Richmond. I like that one a lot, actually. I'm going to actually have to add her to my TBR on Goodreads because I actually really, really like that story. The Missing Ingredient I really did like by Rebecca Rowan. Oh, actually, I think that... Rebecca? I think the Rebecca... Can't remember. Yeah, the Missing Ingredient one was weird. It was not what I was expecting in the story. I liked it, but I didn't love it. Hearts a la carte, I really did like that. I think was the superhero themed one. Yeah, that was the superhero one thing that I really did like. The Beautiful Film by S.K. Ali was super fun. Bloom I really liked as well. Sidewalk was really good, and Pandera Passenger was good. They were all, I actually overall wound up really liking this anthology and really happy that I wound up picking it up. So, my next nonfiction read, let me look up the title because I wanted to read two, is Me and White Supremacy, which is a book that I wind up picking up on my Kindle. So that's going to be my book that I kind of read in between my reads. I'm about maybe like, I'm not that far into it, maybe like 4 chapters in, but it's a book that I've had on my TBR for a while. So I'm going to actually pick up the first read that I picked up during this quarantine that I actually wound up buying, and that is Moment of Truth by Casey West. I know nothing about this book. I know that it's the companion book in this series for Love, Life, and the Lists, and her other one set in Hollywood. I know this follows a girl named Hadley. That's all that I know. So I'm really excited to dive into this. I normally love reading Casey West books like in the summer. So I'm going to dive into this, and when I make it about 50 pages, I will let you guys know my thoughts. I tend to read Casey West like super fast, so I'm hoping that will be the case. But I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Hi guys, Laura here, just checking back in. I just want to say that I wound up reading about 50 pages of Moment of Truth by Casey West, and I'm really, really liking it. I have thoroughly enjoyed this companion series from her. I know other people have had some really mixed reviews about this series, especially the last book, Bait in the First Kiss, but I wound up really liking it. So this book follows Hadley, and you do see characters from the other book, but Hadley's the main character in this one. She's a swimmer. She's super focused. Very, very focused. And she's having a swim meet. And in the previous book, there's a character called Heath Hall. He was on the movie set that the other girl was in. But there's this guy that's just going around in a mask pretending to be him. And he kind of interrupts her swim meet, makes her all unfocused, and then she's determined to find out who he is. But she's very, very driven. She's also dealing with kind of an interesting situation. Her brother died before she was born when he was 18 years old, and her parents are kind of living in that grief stage, but she kind of feels weird because she never knew her brother. So it's kind of like that weird thing, and she's very driven. She wants to get out of town. We've already met two possible boys in this book. Um, but yeah, I'm loving the connections. I'm loving seeing the characters again from Love Life and Bliss and Fame Fate in the First Kiss. It's so fun. Like, I read about 50 pages, and I'll probably read a bunch more of this book tomorrow. But I did want to do a quick update before I start doing I'm gonna like kind of stop reading and go watch some other things. But I will update you guys tomorrow morning before I head to work. This is my last really full week of teaching, like all like every single day. Next week we have a bunch of like half days and it's graduation, so there's just a bunch of stuff going on. But I am really, really liking this book, and I'm so happy that I finally picked it up. So I will update you guys more. I will tell you guys more about my reading tomorrow. Bye, guys. Here I'm back. It is September. It's June 17th. I'm working outside for the day, but I did make a little bit more reading progress on Moment of Truth. I'm about 100 pages in. Guys, I'm really, really enjoying this. I've always loved Casey West's writing. I've always loved the structure of her stories. This book is one of my favorite tropes. It has a mystery wrapped up in like a romantic twist, and there's a lot of side characters in this story, so you never really know like who Hadley likes or also who might be this Heath Hale type character. I'm loving the characters we're seeing from the previous books in the series, and I'm just really, really liking it. I'm loving that all these characters are kind of pushing her out of her comfort zone because she's very, very driven, but ultimately her goal is to figure out who this Heath Hale person is that's impostering him, because he's kind of messing up her swimming life, and that's very, very important to her. But then there's also a lot of boys that kind of come into her life that like you don't really know. So like it's very, very compelling. It's a very, very fast paced read. I'm really, really liking it. I love books that have like a mystery type element and or like a case of like mistaken identity, or you don't know who this person is. It reminds me a little bit of her other one. P.S. I still like P.S. P.S. I think it's P.S. I like you. I think that's the book. Or also there's another one that she wrote that was a little bit similar too, and I can't think of it. But yeah, really, really liking it. I'm going to try to make some reading progress. I'm up to you guys when I get up to page 150. Also, I'm finally going to get my hair cut, which it's been like a long time. Like I think it was last summer I got a cut, so it's been a while. Hoping they'll let me dye my tips, which is what I wanted to do when I was home for quarantine, but I don't know if they're going to let me with all the restrictions, but I am going to try, so when I come home, I'll definitely show you guys what my hair looks like, but right now it's just long, and there's a lot of dead ends in it, so. But I'm going to go read, and I'll update you guys when I make a little bit more progress. I also, last night, I watched I finished watching The Help, which I really wound up liking. And I watched an episode of Avatar, and then I watched The Order, which I'm really intrigued by, so I'm probably going to watch a little bit more of that tonight, and I still have to watch another episode of Avatar to listen to my next podcast episode. So, that is the plan, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Hey guys, Laura here. I'm back. I kind of took like a really, really long break. I finished work. I went to go get my hair done, which it did not turn out as well as I wanted. I have very, very dark hair. I don't want to take my ponytail out, but I'll show you guys tomorrow when my hair's like down. It didn't come out the color I want, so we're gonna actually have to redo it next week. But I did, because I was in a hair salon and I got like a lot of time. I wound up making a significant amount of progress on Moment of Truth by Casey West. I really, really am liking this book. Like, I'm really enjoying it. I'm finding it to be super compelling. It's kind of a book I don't want to say too much about, like, plot-wise, because I'm pretty far into the end of it, and I'll say that the summary really doesn't do the book justice, but I wouldn't even read the summary. I would recommend you have read the other two books, because they are all companion books. You don't have to read them, but, like, I think it would just make the experience a little bit better, because you do see Cooper and Abby from book 1, and you hear about characters that you met in book 2. Well, you might meet a couple of them too. I don't know. I haven't got that far into the book yet. But I'm really liking Hadley as a character. I'm liking the mask identity like a lot. I think that that's kind of a fun trope. So basically, I said this before, but basically Hadley is a very, very competitive swimmer. And one day, this guy named Heath, I think his name is Heath Hale, I think, and he's like a famous actor. Someone dresses up as him and like does stunts based around this character. And one of the stunts she winds up pulling is on Hadley, like at her swim meet. So she kind of makes it her mission to kind of like uncover who this person is to make sure that they're not going to like interrupt her meets anymore. But it goes like in a lot of different ways, and it's a very, very unexpected, twisted story. She winds up communicating with someone. She winds up communicating with this masked intruder or this masked person, and I think it's just like a really, really fun story. It's definitely not the story I expected to get. There's also an underlying element of Hadley's brother dying before she was born, and there's an understudy grief element. I just watched Alexa and Katie, and the final season of that, and they had a cancer element in that book. Also, a very, very long time ago, I read Crash Into You by Katie McGarry, which also has a cancer-themed element about a sibling that had passed away. And I'm just really, really liking this. I think when I read Love, Life, and the List, I gave that 5 stars. I'm really enjoying this book. I love the romance dynamics. I love the side characters. It's just a fun time. So, because all of my friends' shows got canceled this year, one of my friends is putting up a virtual show with her kids, which is Aladdin Jr., and I never get to go see any of these shows, so I'm trying to support as many of my friends as I can, so I'm going to do that. But I hope before that I'm able to tackle a majority of this. I'm on page 270. So I'm going to go do that, and hopefully by the end of the night I can start a new book, and I'll let you guys know my thoughts on that. But I'm going to go read, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Hey, it's Lori here, just checking back in. I want to say that I did want a finishing Moment of Truth by Casey West. I really think that this is probably one of my favorite Casey West books to date. Before this, my 2 favorites were By Your Side, which was the library-themed one, and Love, Life, and the List, which is the first book in this series. But guys, I really wound up liking this book. I think it was a really interesting book because it really had some tropes that I normally like, but it kind of took the tropes in a different direction. I found it to be such a charming read. I thought it dealt with a lot of hard topics. I really liked the swimming component, the grief element. I liked the element of the boys. I liked the mystery. I found it so fun. I really, really did. I would really go in not reading the summary of this, especially if you haven't read the other books. And I really don't think you need to have read the other books, like Love, Life, and the List and Fame, Fate, and the First Kiss. I think that it will make the reading experience a little bit more fuller for you, but I don't think it's necessary. But I really wound up liking this. I think I'm definitely going to wind up keeping this book too, which I don't normally do, but I really wound up liking it. I'm still deciding on my next read, but I am going to read about 50 pages of I think it's the Anti-Racist Guide, I think, or How to Be an Anti-Racist or something. Oh, sorry, no, it's Me and White Supremacy is the one that I'm going to read. I'm going to read about 50 pages of it. I'm not that far into it, so it's probably going to take me all night. Or I'm just going to read up until I stop reading for the evening. It's about 8:30, so I'll probably read a little bit more, and then I'll probably pick up another book tomorrow. So that's my plan of attack, but I am going to share my thoughts about this with you guys. I've never really read a nonfiction book about that before, but I'm trying to educate myself a little bit more. So I'm going to read about 50 pages of that, but really solid read. Really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to go start this, and I'll update with you guys before I go to bed, most likely. Talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. Sorry, here I am back. It's about 9:02. I'm in the middle of working, but I have a little bit of a break. So I wanted to come in and last night say that between yesterday and this morning, I wound up finishing day 1 and day 2 of the Me and White Supremacy book. I'm really liking it. It's definitely making me think a lot about what white supremacy is and what white fragility is, and it's kind of like a workbook. So I'm using my Owl Crate notebook as a notepad. And yeah, so I'm gonna try to do one every single day, and it's probably gonna take me a long time, but I think it's worth it. So I'm doing that. I am liking it. I'm definitely gonna read other ones in the summer, and I'll kind of do a wrap up of which ones I like the best, which ones I think were the most effective. But I am going to start from Twinkle with Love by Sanaya Manan. This is a book from Crate, I think in June of last year. But I am, from what I remember, it follows like a young films, she wants to make movies. And there's a case of mistaken identity. And then there's also a part of this book where she writes letters to famous female directors, which I think is kind of cool. So I didn't love When Dimple Met Rishi. It wasn't my favorite. I struggled with the main character a little bit, but I'm hopeful that I'll like this one a little bit more because I do love books about the arts because I am a theater teacher. So I'm going to dive into this and I will come in when I'm got up to page like 50 and let you guys know my thoughts. Talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. Sorry, here I'm back. It's like 2 o'clock. I did wind up going for a bike ride. I wound up listening to a little bit of Cress, my audiobook, which I'm right at the part where all the characters have finally met. So that's the part I've been waiting for because I really love the crew on the Rampion. I always love their dynamics a lot. So I like when they all meet and we're right at that part. So that's super exciting. I did wind up reading about 50 pages in From Twinkle with Love by Sanaya Manan. I think I'm saying that name right. Could be wrong. Sorry. But I'm really, really liking it. I normally love books that are written in like unique formats. So basically this whole book is written in like letters or blog posts or emails or text messages. And you mostly follow Twinkle. She is a Muslim American teen. She is very, very interested in being a director, and every letter she writes, kind of recounting her day, is to a woman director. And she basically gets teamed up with her crush's twin brother to wind up doing a film for like Midsummer Day. But really she just wants the twin brother to notice her, but she's also really, really passionate about like being in the film industry. And then the other point of view we get, so far it hasn't been a lot, but we get his point of view every once in a while, and he is this young man who just really, really wants to help Twinkle out. Like, he really, really likes her, and she's just kind of oblivious to that, but I'm really liking it. I've said this before. I love books that kind of give me a look into someone else's culture because it's not something that I necessarily would know. It's not information that I would necessarily have, but I'm really, really liking it. I think that it's definitely giving me a nice window into a look at their lives. I also work with a lot of Muslim teens and Muslim kids because the school district that I work in has a lot of Muslim people in it, and it's great. I really love this book. I wasn't as fond of her first book but I really am liking this one. So yeah, I'm gonna go keep reading, and hopefully this book is not that long. It's like about 300 pages. But yeah, that's my plan of attack. I'm going to go read for a little bit and come back. I might play a little bit of Animal Crossing today. We will see. But yeah, so I'll talk to you guys when I read about 50 more pages. Bye guys. Lori here, just checking back in. I just want to say that I wound up getting up to page about 100 in From Twinkle with Love. This book is just so charming. I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving that it's told mostly all in letters. I'm loving the characters. I really, really like it. There's also a lot of friendship dynamics in this book that I think are really important. Like, what happens when you and your friend just don't click anymore? And I think that everyone can kind of experience that. So I like that. I definitely like the movie and TV show elements, like the filming stuff. I think that their dynamic is definitely like verging on friends. Like, I like that. Like, I think that it might go farther than that, but I also do like the dynamic of him having a twin brother that's more popular and everyone thinks he's better. So I think that dynamic is super similar to the dynamic that I found in Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, and I really love dynamics about twins. So yeah, I'm gonna play a little bit of Animal Crossing because I'm trying to at least play like 45 minutes a day. So I'm gonna go do that, and when I report back, I'll let you guys know how Animal Crossing went. Bye. Hey guys, Lori here, I'm back. It's about 5 o'clock. I'm going to read for a little bit. I've got it to page 100 or actually, 142. Actually, I got up to page about 150 in From Twinkle with Love. I'm really liking it. I'm loving the dynamics between the characters. I'm loving how it's focusing on friendship. The timetable where they think that they can put up a movie is like, I'm questioning that because like they don't have a lot of time, and I've worked on like movies and stuff like that, so I don't know if the timetable is super realistic, but that's like a super picky thing because they have like 14 days to put this movie and do everything. Like, it's a very, very short timetable, and I'm just wondering if that's actually gonna work. But other than that, I think the friendship dynamics are super interesting. I love the characters. I love how the person that Twinkle really likes isn't actually in this part of the story. I think it makes it even more interesting. And I really like how that person is the person that she's like engaging with now is his twin brother. I love dynamics between twins. But yeah, so I'm gonna keep reading. I really love the structure. I love how it's written in like blog posts or emails or stuff like that. There is some like I wouldn't say it's just I'm curious about Sanel's intentions about a couple of things because like he's doing stuff that's making Twinkle really upset, and I'm unsure like how I feel about that. But other than that, still really enjoying it. I'm gonna go keep reading, and I'll report back when I'm gonna take a break to work out. Bye, guys. Lori here. I'm back. It's about 7 o'clock, and I did wind up getting up to page 200 in From Twinkle with Love by Sanaya Manan. I'm really liking this book. I'm really happy that I read these two books back to back because they have very, very similar premises. But I'm curious, like, I love books with this particular plot twist, but I'm always looking for a plot twist to, like, kind of shock me. So I'm kind of curious to see if this plot twist will kind of surprise me. But what I love is I love how they're talking about friendship. I love how they're talking about diversity. They had a really good conversation about like creative careers, which is something that I always am discussing. I also like how this book really did delve into like the diversity or lack of diversity in Hollywood. That's something I really do try to teach my kids in when I'm in school and when we have discussions. So I really like that that was kind of addressed in here because she does want to be a director, and she is of I think she's of Muslim descent. I can't quite remember. But yeah, but I'm thoroughly liking it. I think it's very, very fun. I really love Sahil as like a character. I think that he's like a fun bouncing off point. And the age old question of this book is what, like, she really wants to be with his twin for one specific reason, but she's having so much fun with this other boy, and it's like, is that really worth it? So, like, I'm really curious, like, what happens. I'm really curious, like, who she's writing to, if it's who I think it is, or if it's not who I'm thinking is. But yeah, I also love that, like, Sunil's parents made, like, a little cameo. I thought that their dynamics was super interesting. Her dynamics with her family is a little bit more complicated, but you do see, like, the intergenerational dynamics in her family, which I know is very, very common. But yeah, I'm really liking it. I'm going to try to read 100 more pages before I go to bed for the night. That's my plan. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Hi guys, Laura here, just checking back in. I just want to say that I did able to get at page 250 in From Twinkle with Love. You know, her character has taken a very interesting turn, and I'm not, like, I think I'm liking the conversations that they're having, but her behavior has gone a little bit erratic. And there is a lot of drama, especially with the movie tying up and everything like that. So there's a lot of drama, and she's making some questionable choices, which I don't love. But I think that the end of the book will kind of be like interesting. I'm really curious to see how the email stuff turns out. Like, I'm curious if it is the twin brother or if it's not the twin brother. But yeah, so I'm actually I am really liking it. I think I definitely like Twinkle as a character a lot more than I did Dimple. And I've in both stories I love both the love interests a lot, and I also love the side characters in the story a lot. Like, there's a lot of side diversity as well. But I think there's just a lot of drama in high school, and I think she's doing a very good way of portraying that. So I have about 100 pages left, and I'll definitely finish this early tomorrow. I'll probably finish it when I'm working, while I'm waiting for work to come in. So I'm gonna go watch some shows. I think I'm gonna watch 4 episodes of Avatar, and I'll update you guys on that tomorrow. But I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Sorry, here I'm back. I just want to say that I did wind up finishing From Twinkle with Love by Sanaya Manan. I actually wound up really enjoying this book. I wound up giving this book like 4.75 stars. I really like this book. I liked it much more than When Dimple Met Rishi. I really loved Twinkle and her characters. I love how this book was wrote entirely in letters or in journal entries. I wish we had a little bit more in the head of the male lead, because it definitely was more from Twinkle's point of view, but I loved that it was focusing on like building a movie. There was a lot of talk about, Indian families, which I thought was very, very interesting, and I really, really liked it. The end definitely made up for it. I will admit, I cried. I had some tears in my eyes at the very, very end of this book, but definitely a solid read. I'm definitely going to pick up her next one. There's something about Sweetie, and hope that I continue to like grow and love this series. I love the diversity of this read like a lot. I really, really was fond of it. And I just really, really loved Sunil as a main character. I always love like cinnamon roll characters. And I really, another thing I really liked about this book was that the character that Twinkle thought she should be with, you didn't see in the entire book. So I thought that was another really interesting dynamic. And I love the development of friendship. I think that that is such an important one. And girl friendships are complicated. And I think that that was made really apparent in this book. But yeah, I wound up really liking it. So I wound up picking up a nonfiction read. I am still reading Me and White Supremacy, but I'm going to read that in the mornings, and today I just had a few things to do in the morning. But I wound up picking up the Nasty Women anthology, which is Feminism, Resistance, and the Revolution in Trump's America. And I'm going to read about like 4 stories. They're all really, really interesting, and it's all following these different women on the aftermath of Trump's presidency. And I love reading about other people's experiences. It's a little bit of a harder read, I'll say that, but I went to an all-girl college and was deeply rooted in feminist tradition, so I have a lot of opinions on that, but I do really like this one. I also have another one that I do want to read. It's called Standing Up for Your Values in Trump's America, but I figured I would kind of, and it's not that long, but I'm going to probably read one or two more stories before I go to my last meeting for the day. This is also like the last official week of school. We have one more week, but it's a much shorter week. But I'm really liking this. I would highly recommend you check out books that kind of break your comfort zone a little bit. And this was definitely one that also broke my comfort zone because it's reading from a different culture that's not necessarily mine, and I'm always looking for that in my reads because I have one experience, and I think it's really important that you challenge your own experiences by reading outside of it. So really liked From Twinkle with Love. Definitely a higher rated book. And I'm really liking this anthology. The first story was like literally the aftermath of Trump's presidency. The second one was about Are Women People? And it really talked about like feminists, and getting rights like back in like the 1800s or whatever, and how those people that are campaigning for rights may not be the best people overall, and I thought that was a very interesting one. And then the other one was about We Will, I just thought was something that like, it was just a story about a woman's aftermath effects of how we're in the situation, and she kind of summed up every thought I felt about Trump and his presidency and his presidency as to date. And then As Long as It's Healthy was another one that I really, really enjoyed. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this. I will definitely give you guys my thoughts, but I'm going to try to read one more before my meeting, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. It's Lori here. It's about 5:30. I just wound up finishing work. I went for a bike ride, did a little bit of relaxing, but I wanted to come on here and wrap up this reading vlog. So the focus of this reading vlog was mostly reading contemporary authors that I have read before. I was able to read 3 full novels and 1 anthology. Well, finish 1 anthology. So I'm going to talk through those, and then I'm going to wrap up this reading vlog. The first book I did wind up finishing was How to Love by Katie Casogno. This is probably my least favorite out of the 4, but I would still recommend it. It did deal with teen pregnancy and the aftermath of it, and you follow Rena and Sawyer, mostly Rena's point of view, in the development of her getting pregnant, and then the aftermath, like 2 years later after the aftermath of that. It's definitely like a love to hate romance combined with a blast from the past romance. I liked it. I didn't really love the characters, especially in the first half of this book, but they did grow on me, and I thought that it did tackle teen pregnancy in kind of an interesting way. I've never read a book about teen pregnancy, really, ever, but I really did wind up liking it. I wound up giving this book 3 stars. And then the next thing I finished was Hungry Hearts Anthology, edited by Elisa Chapman and Caroline Toon Richmond. This is actually a really, really strong one. Like, I wound up liking it. I think this is probably one of the strongest anthologies that I've read, but basically it takes place on this row of restaurants called Hungry Row. Here's like a little map, and every story takes place on this, and then the characters kind of like can like come in and be in the other stories, but they don't have to be. But I thought it was a very diverse read because every restaurant was so different. There was some stories I liked, some stories I didn't like. But I definitely found some authors that I haven't heard before that I definitely put on my list. I'm trying to say some of my favorites if I can remember. I really liked The Grand Island Adventure by Sanaya Manan. I really liked The Slender One by Carolyn Toon Richmond. I really like Sidewalk, Hearts a la carte, The Beautiful Film. I really liked most of this anthology, and I definitely picked up some authors that I want to read more of in the future, and I wound up giving this anthology 4 stars overall. Now, these last 2 books I really wound up enjoying. I wound up picking up Moment of Truth by Casey West. This is the 3rd book in her companion series, Love, Life, and the List. That's what the series is called because that's the 1st book. I wound up loving this book. These 2 books have very similar premises. This one, I think, won out a little bit. But basically, you follow this girl named Hadley. She's a competitive swimmer. And a person impersonating Heath Hall, who is like a famous movie actor, starts interrupting her life. And she kind of goes under a mission to kind of figure out who that is. So it has like a mysterious identity, and it just like a lot about facing your fears. There's also an element of like grief in this, like a dead sibling, and kind of a little bit that part reminded me a little bit of Crash Into You by Katie McGarry. But I wound up really liking this book, and I wound up giving this book 5 stars. Like, definitely a strong read. I know people have struggled with this series a lot, but it's actually one of my favorite by hers because you do see the characters again. And then today, I wound up finishing From Twinkle with Love by Sanaya Manan, and I wound up really liking this one as well. I wound up giving this book 4.5 stars for review. I thought it was great. You guys saw my thoughts throughout this whole thing. And I also did, during this reading vlog, make a lot of progress on Crest by Marissa Meyer. I only have 3 hours left. So yeah, I'm going to wind up wrapping up this reading vlog, and I'm going to start my weekend reading vlog for you guys, and I'll talk to you guys for my next reading vlog. Let me know in the comments what are some fun contemporary reads that you have been tackling to start this summer off, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.